So today I'm going to talk about finding your own style as an artist. This is a question that I think anyone who wants to become an artist or has been interested in art in any way has always wondered. How does an artist have their own unique style? You know, wow, they do that so interestingly. I love the way that person paints or the way they draw. And you think, how do you grow into that? How does that happen? How did you think of that style? And I think this has been like a really enigmatic issue for so many people, especially people who are emerging artists or people that are trying to kind of find their feet in any kind of creative format. And I think the first piece of advice that I would give to someone in that position, and I don't exclude myself from this whatsoever, it's absolutely a journey that I am at the very beginning of it, is to look around you. Who are the painters you love? Who are the people whose drawings capture your attention? And think, what is it about those that are unique and interesting? For example, some artists who I've been really passionate about recently, Lee K, whose drawings are just absolutely astounding. His use of tone and form and mixed media is just, I find, absolutely stunning. And I find a lot of commonality with the other artists that I'm interested in. Lee K's mark making and thoughtfulness in the way that he crafts the form of the face through just such a painstaking and methodical approach to form, I just find really fascinating. So I've been really trying to take some cues from that, see how I can apply it to my own practice. Another artist, Lucy Pass, who I think is absolutely fantastic. I've been following her work on Instagram a lot recently. Again, her unique use, I mean, she's a painter, but I feel like her principles of using the partial elements of the face and abstractions I find really, really captivating. Again, I'm taking small cues from there. And I find her work really elegant and just absolutely beautiful. So she's another one who's definitely on my list. Someone else who I certainly have taken a lot from in the last few months, Prokopenko, who a lot of people will know from his Proko YouTube channel, where educational drawing tips and that sort of thing. Him and his collaborations with people like Stephen Bauman, and just his study of the form and his reinforcement, especially in his teaching, that the use of planes and mark making are so integral to rendering the form, I found really, really extremely helpful in rendering space and trying to make my subjects feel more concrete and established. I found him to be a real inspiration to me and gained some real valuable insights from his experience. Certainly a master of his craft. And I think the last artist I want to mention is Kisoo Chai. Forgive me if that pronunciation is incorrect. But I found Chai's work to be, again, just absolutely superb. It seems to me anyway, and this is again something which is absolutely personal taste, and your list should by all means be completely different to mine. I found Chai's work to be just, for me, the perfect combination between accurate representation of a subject and abstractions, which really go hand in hand so beautifully. And the overarching thing for me in Chai's work is this mastery of the medium of charcoal, and I've just found that to be really, really fascinating and just such an efficient way of using the medium to its full potential. I also think it's worth mentioning that so often you can lose track of your progress and positive things that have happened in your own work, as well as looking at other artists who are already established. I've recently been looking back on my own work and found that I'm really, really pleased with the results of some of my other drawings. Usually only partial areas of the drawings, but I think those are the places which you need to focus on and carry forward. One of those examples is my drawing of singer and guitarist Tom Misch. For me, this drawing, which you can see the video if you click the card above right now, I had a real breakthrough in this drawing, and it resulted in, again, this realization of how I can use my medium of charcoal to its fullest potential, or at least to a much stronger potential than I have been. And it was this use of mark making and really clearly defined lines that I really felt was doing such a good job of describing the planes of the face and showing form and texture in a way that I hadn't been doing before. So for me, that was in my mind entering in this drawing today, and I think it was definitely a part of the success of this drawing in some way, whether that was a small or a large way. I definitely think that acknowledging some previous successes can benefit you in making your future work. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I look at all these artists and I think, what are bits and pieces from these works that I can bring into my own practice and that I would like to see in my own work? And this is definitely the stage where I think you can't take a textbook approach to this sort of thing. So the subject that I drew is Mike from Breaking Bad, and as you'll see at the beginning of this time lapse, the approach to drawing that I was taking was varying itself. I started nice and loose with the brush, and then as I progressed I tried to focus in and be a little bit more rigid, and I think that rigidity was becoming a problem in this drawing. It really felt like it didn't have much to offer, and I think that's why it was really saved by this final intuitive decision to really kind of loosen up and knock back the drawing. I think it adds a feeling of an enigmatic feeling to the subject, and to those of you that have watched Breaking Bad and know the character that Jonathan Banks plays, Mike Ehrmantraut, he's somewhat of a stoic, methodical, and to a degree quite an enigmatic subject, and I think that was really what I wanted to get across. And the stages that this drawing was at, when it was looking a lot more figurative or without those abstractions which came later, I really felt like it didn't offer those, and it felt like quite a hollow drawing, and that's why I was so pleased when it started really coming together, and those parts where it started loosening up, to me, really brought out the character in the subject, because a likeness is often, especially in contemporary work, not necessarily from an accurate depiction of a work, but through the techniques and the surrounding ideas that are introduced through the medium that you're using. And again, that links back to the artists that I've been speaking about. The things that I find so effective in those other artists' work aren't the fact that they are so perfectly depicting the marks of the face of the subject they are choosing to represent, or that they are doing this. It's that they know how to wield the medium that they use so well. They are so well versed and so experienced with the materials they use that they can manipulate them and use them to their advantage. This idea of facture, using the nature of the materials themselves to aid in your objective of putting across a personality of the subject. And that is what I think I've been kind of chasing for a while, and I feel like I'm just that little bit closer now than I was yesterday as a result of this drawing. The point where I found this drawing really coming together was right at the end, where for whatever reason I just felt like a real change of pace was needed, and I just sped up, and I just felt the need to kind of start knocking back the drawing in various areas at a stage where fine changes and small adjustments were being made. For some reason I just felt like now is the time to shift gears back into a kind of almost like a blocking out stage, but right at the end, which is really interesting, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I think the drawing is much stronger than it would have been without that stage. So again, that was a really interesting breakthrough for me that was in a lot of ways not deliberate, but it was based on intuition. And I think in some ways I feel I've been a little bit stagnant recently in my style and my way of drawing, and it just so happened that by pushing through that and keeping making work, today happened to be one of those days where I feel like I've made a little bit of a step forward. And sometimes it feels like you've been completely stagnant for so long, and then other days you feel like, wow, I'm progressing so fast, this is so inspiring, this is amazing. So if you found any of that interesting, then please let me know. Do check out my website again if you're interested in supporting me and buying some prints. They are available there for you to buy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.